This is as far as I could get.
Spider-Man's trapped, which should give us enough time for a recharge. We saw you following us, Spider-Man.
We're with you, Spidey. Just to see them interact with Spider-Man and see that it's really us is just gonna be crazy for me, and I can't wait.
Please! Please! No!
Dear Spider-Man Brand New Day, if you don't kill off Mr. Negative, is he single and available? For a duo, for a two-man, and what better antagonist? And you wanna reverse card them? Their costumes? Marketing! I know Sony is gonna have an issue, kind of, but... Hey everybody, welcome to Marvel's most available characters of all time. The actors on standby, 24/7 for y'all. No one's gonna complain, or at the very least, no one's gonna... Actually, yeah, no one's gonna complain. Again, you don't even have to make the show canon. Just bring the actors back in their roles, and that's it. That's all you have to do. If you're slowly bringing back the TV characters, why not them? Okay, I've already done a little short video about it, but I feel like I haven't done them justice, especially since I haven't watched the show. Now, I'm going to speedrun as much as I can about everything, because there's so much I want to talk about. I have some things to say. I was going to split this video into two parts. The first one where I talk about my review of the show, and the other one being my pitch for the show. For the future of the MCU, when, if Marvel has no ideas for Cloak and Dagger, here, I give you ideas. But then I realized that only 10 people in the world, including myself and my sister, has seen Cloak and Dagger. So I'm just going to put it all into one because no one's going to care. So basically what happened was, my sister watched the show when it came out. I watched it literally recently. I'm going to give my review, speak a couple things, and then I'll actually do a full-on pitch. If you want to actually plan to watch the show, all I'll say is this. It's pretty great. If you really give the show a chance and lock in, especially if you're a Marvel fan, especially as a fan of Cloak and Dagger yourself, or somehow you haven't watched the show, I will say it is jarring. Especially when you start, it's a bit jarring in some areas. All I'll say is because at the time, Marvel TV rights was everywhere. Netflix had The Defenders, and Hulu had Cloak and Dagger and Runaways. And at the time, in the 2010s, there was a lot of edgy shows like Riverdale, Pretty Little Liars, CWTC, and they were trying to make it edgy. But however, it's still worth a watch. It's very compelling, especially for young people, like young, awkward, broken souls, trying to defy what justice and revenge truly means. Because everybody always talks about like vengeance or justice with Batman or Spider-Man or Punisher and all that, or Daredevil. They talk about the debate. Because Cloak and Dagger is a parallel, duo themed, they really lean on that heavily, and it goes hard. Whether it's a scene or dialogue, back and forth in different places, and like the sequences they make goes really hard. It got so hard I was hyping up at times. It's very cleverly structured, very thematic. The drama tension is pretty great, very character driven, slow burn, to the point where whenever some of their powers manifest, it feels really earned, and I'm like, they did the thing. Although the origins and personalities and powers are different in their own ways from the actual comic lore, because before I watched the show, I actually went through their comic lore just to see what happens. Around the second season, it gets a little trippy. The good kind of trippy, though. This show is very music heavy. It's very music driven. Most of the show is practically a big old music video. However, some of the song choices do hit. Some of them are hit or miss. Some of them are just generic or too on the nose. The acting is well done. Like Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph portray their respective characters of Tandy Bowen and Tyrone Johnson. And yes, if you've never heard that name before, yes, that definitely sounds like one of the most black names you'll ever hear. However, it does roll off the tongue, and it's pretty awesome because I really like Tyrone Johnson. At least in the show, because in canon lore, it's kind of problematic. However, in the show, they actually reverse their characters, if you know what I mean. Like, they reverse their personalities, and Tandy is a flawed, stubborn, optimistic gal, and Tyrone is the bottled up, sort of introvert powerhouse. Okay? Speaking of Ty, I like to call him Anakin Skywalker, because the entire show, I feel like he's really great, and I really give him props because he reminds me a lot of Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker, where like, if you're saying, oh, he's lacking reaction, well, no, he's not that expressive because he's that bottled up as a character. Especially because when there are moments where he does crash out, or he does like becomes very expressive or acts, he acts.
She remembers you from that show, the cave show. Yes. What was it? Cake Chin Swords. Yes, I loved it. Oh yeah, Stagger. Stagger. Strokes and different strokes and stragglers. No, that's not it. I'm messing up, am I?
This show does involve a lot of voodoo lore, especially now that I recently remembered the fact that Marvel has voodoo lore, like Brother Voodoo and all that stuff. They do have characters like Mayhem, which obviously is the most CW adaptation of her character. That's all I'll say. Despair is a villain, which surprised me that I didn't know. It was, oh, that dude. Legato in the comics was odd, but hey, obviously portrayed way better here. In the comics, Tyrone's best friend is Billy, who got killed. And Tyrone had a stutter problem, which I'm surprised they didn't actually do the stutter thing in the show, but whatever. But in the show, Billy is the name of his brother that got killed. Spoilers, I guess. Alright, and one more thing. The timeline. So the timeline is weird, because this show lasted from 2018 to 2019. In between seasons, it's 8 months. There are newspapers in the show, so I'll probably miss it. However, I like to say that this show takes place either before or after the snap, because I feel like it's kind of weird. It happens during or in between, and I'm like, that's kind of awkward. But I prefer it to be before the snap for obvious reasons, because, again, I mentioned this before, but I have this headcanon, until I'm proven wrong, that every TV character, except for Punisher, got snapped. You see, kids, before there was the Void and the Thunderbolts, there was the Cloak's Dark Force dimension, alright? Which is sad that we never got to see Cloak and Dagger sooner come back, because I really wish there was a moment where Doom entered Cloak's Dark Force Void, Dark Force dimension, and I'm like, imagine that was a thing in MCU, but okay. I'm gonna call it Pre-Void. So the Pre-Void. Now, I want to list some highlight episodes. First of all, Season 1, Episode 7 is such a highlight episode. I love that episode. It's just really great. Season 1, Episode 8 is kind of funny, but later on in the episode, right at the end, when Tanny and Ty were entering or access her mom, they entered into a movie theater. Guess what song played? Kingpin's song from the Netflix run. I was like, what? Hello? It literally caught me off guard. I'm like, what the freak? That makes sense. To be fair, this show does very heavily rely on references from the TV shows at the time it happening, because apparently, Brigadier O'Reilly, who's also Mayhem, apparently is friends with Misty Knight or something, and I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me? Since when, ma'am? I haven't watched everything else aside from Daredevil, so I must have missed out. I will watch them at some point, I just don't know when. Season 1, Episode 10, apparently there was a Stark name drop or something.
And with great power comes even more power. In this day and age, you need to keep up with the Joneses.
As well as the Starks and the Rands.
Wait. So if they heavily rely on Netflix references, why would it be on Freeform at the time, but not in Netflix? I mean, Jeff Loeb did executive produce all those shows, but why did it have to be separated? Also, stop me if you heard this before. Two heroes, at the climax of the adventure, one of them decides to sacrifice themselves to save the day. However, the pair decided to unite, hold hands, and Care Bear stare their obstacle in the big old complicated machine, and then an explosion happens, and they save the day with their combined forces. Deadpool 3, literally years before that. I'm like, bro, that is hilarious to me. That is hilarious. Now, Season 2, Episode 8 was really fun for me because I'm such a nerd. Because they were in the video game. Also, stop me if you heard this before, Part 2. But basically, remember the X-Men 97 episode where Jubilee has this whole theme of like, I'm stuck in a video game, and I don't want to deal with the real world's problems, so I'm just going to be stuck in a video game forever. Literally the plot for that episode. Literally part of it. I'm like, brother, it's like they know. Kevin, you can't ignore these characters! I love the arcade portrayal of the video game, maybe because I'm a nerd. However, I will say the action in the show was a bit odd. There are moments where it hit, but that's because they actually tried. The action is barely lacking. That's the only thing about the show that very lacks. Season 2, Episode 9, Luke Cage in Harlem Rumble by Karen Page. Voiced by Tyrone Johnson. Season 2, Episode 10. Also, I love how the show does full circle moments a lot. Like, in the first episode of Season 2, they literally were just sitting there watching The Mark of Zorro. Literally, at the end of the last episode, she literally is like, cha-cha-cha. And I'm like, y'all really care? Cloak and Dagger in canon just try to save teenagers or try to save people from really serious stuff. So Cloak and Dagger has an opportunity to do that, especially for an edgy show on Freeform. They're gonna go for that. So yeah. And finally, the ending. I remember when I saw the ending long ago, I was aware of the ending, what happened, but I didn't really pay attention to the dialogue because obviously I didn't know what happened. And then at the time I was like, oh, they ran away. It's a perfect ending, so they can do anything you want with them. I was wrong. Apparently, because the ending felt like a season finale ending. That's why I felt a little rushed, but at the same time, it felt complete and rushed at the same time. Because it was like, okay, we're going to set up season 3. Oh, wait, we got canceled. It ended. And I'm like, oh. I mean, look, honestly, the more I think about it, the ending is better than I expected. And I'll explain why during the pitch session. But before then, there was one thing I did after I watched the show. There was a time during the Cloak and Dagger run. Apparently, Olivia Holt and Alfie Joseph decided to voice their cartoon counterparts version of them in a Spider-Man cartoon. First of all, it's in the show that people really didn't like. It was during the show that people disliked the most. I still watched it because why not? It's Spider-Man and Cloak and Dagger with the voice actors. Like just. I promise you, just hearing Olivia Holt and Alfie Joseph say Spider-Man's name, literally got me geeking. Literally, I was kind of emotional. Not gonna lie, I'm too invested into them. Like I literally was geeking out so hard. I literally became that Tyrese meme.
Please, Spider-Man! We don't want to fight you!
Oh my!
We're with you, Spidey.
Then come on!
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Now, finally, at the pitch meeting, because music was such a big part of that show, you can make Cloak and Dagger the new Guardians of the Galaxy, where basically, whenever they show up, a song plays. Not out of a mixtape or anything, but just randomly in the background. You hear a song, it's them. They're like the street level version of Star-Lords. The street level Peter Quills. And it'd be really fun. However, I think the first time they should be featured is in Daredevil Born Again, but that really depends on y'all. Daredevil Born Again Season 4, I don't know. Whatever happens. I feel like the best thing to do with them, aside from the, Mr. Negative I mentioned, was a special presentation. You could do so much with it. You can bring in Mr. Negative, you can do features, or whatever stuff. However, music choices, I'm just going to put music choices here just to put it on. I would like to see a montage of right after, Season 2. Oh, the snap happened. A montage of them traveling, doing cases, helping, saving the day, being with their families, maybe a holiday special with their families would be funny. Shield and Damage Control chasing after them consistently because, they're powerful characters, be funny. Background heroes. Being in the church with Daredevil is enough because they lived in the church, in the show, and in the comics. So that. Now here's the big thing. What will be their relationship? I don't know. It's like, look, if they come back in only features, then they're definitely together. Realistically, that won't make any sense if you're just like, okay, we're a divine pair. There's no way we're not going to be together. Also, enough time has passed. They're definitely together. There's no way. Now, if you want to do a special presentation or if you actually want to do a show, then they're definitely going to do a whole arc, like in those, in late 2010s miniseries, they just be like, okay, we're with other people, and then we realize, oh wait, we need each other, and then we like each other again. That's literally what can happen. What are the villains, aside from Mr. Negative? Gray, from that one miniseries, that works as well. I will pitch this as well in the Howard the Duck video I will make one day, I will get to, but I also want to pitch it here, Circus of Crime. Circus of Crime are villains that are around, they're basically just Circus of Crime. What else to describe it from? I'd love to see that. However, the Circus of Crime are the epicenter as to the first meeting or team up between Daredevil and Spider-Man. So if you want to be a thing, whatever you do with Cloak and Dagger when they come back, and I say when because there's no way the universe is telling you not. I did a whole video on that, but X-Men 97 picked them for no reason, even though they never appeared in the 90s cartoons. Marvel Rivals chose them, and now they're known because of the game. They're like the Tom and Jerry multiverses equivalent of that game. Okay, fine. When they bring them back, there's only one thing I ask. At the very least, just one thing. And that is, in Spider-Man 6, when Peter Parker is beaten up in an alley by Carnage and Venom, guess who saves him? These two goofy goobers. If this happens in the movie, I will lose, my scalp will be on fire. In terms of the context behind why Venom and Carnage are the villains of that movie and why Cloak and Dagger are features in that movie, that's a story for another day. Also, they have history with mutants, and they're also kind of mutants depending on the story. So you can definitely have them team up with the X-Men or any sort of mutant team. But also, one more thing, and I don't recall them ever being part of this team, but I feel like they fit really well. The Midnight Suns. It'd be fun if you have Blade, Ghost Rider, Morbius, or different Morbius. It'd be funny if you bring Morbius and another character. That'd be hilarious. As another actor, But, and then there's Cloak and Dagger. I would love that. They fit perfect with that team. I finally watched the show. I finally made this video. I finally went through the lore to get ready. Though that being said, if you haven't watched the show, and even though I spoiled most of it for you, although it's a bit jarring around the edges, it's still pretty great. It's worth the watch, and hopefully, hey, this show doesn't have to be canon. You just bring the actors back, and that's all we want. All we want is the actors back. That's it. It's that simple. All I want is that Spider-Man team-up, and I'm good. That's all I need. Heck, if Spider-Man 6 is the only time they come back, I'm good. Oh, yeah, my My camera battery, my 30-minute runtime is out. With all that being said, thanks for watching this video, and hope you have a great day. And thank you for watching another episode of Sir Yaps a Lot about the Marvel Universe. I sound like Mary Marvelite now. Shout out to him, by the way.